Hi everyone, this is Dr. Sarah Yu. So, it's Dr. Sarah Yu show today's America and the World, as well as Dr. Sarah for U.S. Senate show, as well as You Right and You Vision TV broadcast show. Thank you so much. Today I have a special guest, Schuyler Robertson here. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome join to our show. Can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name's Schuyler Robertson. I spent 28 years in the military in both active duty and National Guard, deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. I later worked for the government doing diplomatic security in high threat areas overseas. I was a deputy sheriff in Colorado for 5 years, and I currently write for Concealed Carry magazine, and I work as an expert witness with attorneys in self-defense cases.
Great, great. Thank you so much for that. So, I have several questions for you to, you can ask for the discussion. So, what is some of the myths that people believe regarding our self-defense? Yeah.
Say it again.
What are some of the myths, that people believe regarding self-defense? So, what do you
Um,
think? What is the self-defense? Yeah.
yeah. Some of the things that, some of the myths that are out there are that one of the big ones that's been around for years is that if someone's trying to break into your home, they say, shoot him and then drag him inside, put a kitchen knife in his hand. That will get you sent to prison because people with a lot of experience investigating crime scenes are going to see that this was staged, and your claim of self-defense is going to go out the window if they find out that you lied. If it's a legitimate self-defense claim, it's a legitimate claim. But a lot of people believe myths that they hear on the internet or from friends that get repeated over and over, and they don't actually take the time to research it themselves.
So, how do people then, people harm their self defense and crime proper to in accident, post in accident. So, how they can, uh, how they can do that? Yeah.
Well, the first thing they need to do is get trained on, and there's a lot of good instructors out there that will teach you the how to shoot. There are very few that will teach you the when you should shoot and when you shouldn't. There you're getting into legal issues that a lot of instructors don't want to take the responsibility of saying, this is a self-defense, that, in this situation, this is when you can shoot. In this situation, you can't. And you definitely need to read the laws in the state that you're in. But a good definition that will um, follow you, that's good probably in all 50 states, is self-defense is only justified in the event of the immediate, otherwise unavoidable threat of death or seriously bodily injury to the innocent. And
Good, good. Yeah.
in that, there are three elements that all have to be present for a self-defense shooting to be justified, or the use of lethal force, whether it's empty hand or with a weapon. And that is ability, opportunity, and intent. Does your attacker have the physical ability to cause death or serious bodily injury? Do they have the opportunity, meaning distance and obstacles? If someone has a knife but they're 100 yards away, they're not a threat. And the third is intent. Would the attacker's words or actions lead a reasonable person to decide that, yes, they were intending on using their ability to inflict death upon you? And so just because someone has a weapon doesn't mean that they are a threat. What are
I
they saying? What are they
yes.
doing?
So, I remember I went to Judy Doctor law school. We learn about criminal, nine criminals. So we always, we talk about murder, burglary, arson, or manslaughter, in the homicide, all those we study nine criminal. And the most important is the intent to do, kill, or intent to murder or not. So that is intent is so important to, to to we call like crime, make a case of crime. I think that is good point to intent or not intent. Yeah, that's good. So I want to asking to, because I'm a Republican candidate, I'm support Second Amendment firearms. So firearms. So tell about what you support Second Amendment or not, whatever your vision. Why, if we support the second, if you support Second Amendment, why it's so important we have to have a firearms? If not, why you do it? Yeah.
Um, well, I've always believed, I was brought up in an older time where we, patriotism was instilled, but the Second Amendment is to prevent the government from overstepping its bounds. And a lot of people think, well, that can never happen here. Well, I've spent enough time in countries that didn't have functional governments, or that there were factions within the country that were trying to kill the other. I was in Iraq for a while, in up north in Erbil, in the Kurdish area. The Kurdish area is a Christian majority. It's very safe there, but part of the reason it's so safe is everybody has a gun, and the a lot of the different ethnic minorities in Iraq, if they can't have a firearm, they get persecuted. In the Kurds, pretty much everybody has a gun at home. And that's why when ISIS took over in what they were pushing, 2015, 2016, through that area, they never got very far into the Kurdish territory because so many of the Kurds had guns. And if you look at what happened here in 2020 with riots breaking out all across the country, there were a lot of people that saved their own lives by just displaying a firearm. There was one case here. I live in Oregon. Um, a woman who had a beauty salon posted online that she supported Trump, and a lot of the protesters saw that, and they put online that they were going to go burn her store down. Well, when they got there, they found about a half dozen guys with rifles standing on the roof. So they left. And that's the same story from the Los Angeles riots with the Koreans up on the rooftops. They protected their businesses and they protected their livelihoods when the police couldn't. And as a former cop, the police almost never are able to prevent a crime. They just arrive after it's happened, clean up the mess, and hopefully make an arrest.
So you support a Second Amendment, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Good. So how about the, you are the now is many Democratic, party, they said to defund police, but I'm not supporting defund police, because we should give more support for secure our community, right? So what do you think that defund police?
Well, a few years ago in Josephine County, Oregon, the sheriff said we need to get, they were had a budget crisis, and they said we need more funding because we don't have the funds to run the jail and do patrols. And they said we're mandated by the state law to run the jail. So if we don't get this funding, we're going to have to stop law enforcement patrols in the county. That ballot measure did not pass. They didn't get their funding, and they had to pull all of their patrol deputies to go work in the jail. And the sheriff told people, get a gun. If you dial 911 and need the police, nobody's coming if you live in the county. And there was a woman who called 911 because her boyfriend was trying to break in. The nearest police officers that could respond were a couple of state troopers that were more than 2 hours away. So he broke in and she was sexually assaulted. So defunding the police is never a good idea.
It's really, in America, we have so many drug issue, right? So people spending, God bless you, the people in our, you know, people like they have drug, illegal drug, they go to the jail. We spending too much money for jail management, right? As well as homeless, they go out and go in the jail, so I think that we spending too much to the jail system, to management those illegal persons. I think we need something programs to long-term goal to how we can help them, help them to, as
Mhm.
you are the previous, you are police. So can you see many people go to the jail. So what is our long-term solution? We can sell that, yeah.
Um, I think the best long-term solution is fixing mental health um, services so that people don't self-medicate with drugs. And I really don't think there's an easy solution to it. I've seen literally thousands of people go into the jail with drug issues. I only know of one who was able to turn his life around.
So that is really, our taxpayer support, those jail system and homeless, even problem a lot. So anyway, thank you for your those good answer. As well as when we have a defense, self-defense case, should we hire attorney or not? Yeah.
Yes. Do not, if a person is involved in a self-defense shooting, no matter how justified it is, first thing you do once it's safe to do so is call 911, get medical and police response. The second thing to do is contact your attorney. And if you do not have an attorney, get one. I am a member of U.S. Concealed Carry Association, which publishes Concealed Carry magazine, and they offer self-defense insurance to cover the legal costs, the cost of bail. When the police arrive on scene, tell them, this person attacked me. Don't say, I shot them. Just, this person attacked me, and I want them arrested. And don't make any more statements. Just tell the police, I will cooperate fully with your investigation after I've spoken to my attorney, and then stop talking. It is never a good idea to speak to the police. In the cases where even very legitimate self-defense cases, the police take the person into an interview room, and you have to understand, in a police interview room, there's only two things that are going to stop the interview. One is you say enough to the police that they can arrest you for something. The second is you ask for your attorney. That's it. There have been police interviews that have lasted more than 18 hours. And I've seen them where they ask the same questions over and over again, slightly changing their wording, which elicits a slightly different response. And after you've been asked the same question 10, 15 times, there may be a little variation on your answer. You add a little more detail on something, or you leave something off because you just don't remember it. Well, the police write in the report he changed his answers, showing he was lying. No, you're not lying. You ask the same question 100 times and you get slightly different answers. Not because someone's lying, just because they phrase it a different way or they use a different set of words. But yeah, definitely. And most people also don't realize they've seen the Miranda warning on TV 1,000 times. Anything you say can be used against you. What they don't say is nothing you say to the police can be used to help you in court. That's Federal Rule of Evidence 801. If you say something to the police that can hurt your legal standing, it's presumed that you're telling the truth, because why would you lie about something that could hurt you? If it can help you, if it could prove your innocence, it's hearsay. So the cops can't bring it into court. And I've seen a lot of people go to jail, or not jail, but, well, yeah, they got arrested and they were held in jail for months, in some cases due to COVID, for years before they get to trial because of something they said to the police, not realizing that the police were going to use that to charge them with a crime. If they had spoken with their attorney first or had an attorney present, that could have been avoided. And there was one case where it was an elderly man. There was a break-in about 11:30 at night in his house. He had to use deadly force. The police interview started at 5:30 in the morning. So this man's been up all day, up all night. So he's an elderly man that's been awake for almost 24 hours. And then the police start the interview. If he had his attorney with him, his attorney could have said, wait a minute, my client needs to get some sleep. He's going under sleep deprivation. And in the interview, you could see this man's answers were getting shorter and shorter. He was practically falling asleep on the police, not even paying attention to what they're asking. So
Oh,
yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
definitely get your attorney
good,
involved
good.
immediately.
Okay, and then what is the best advice? We have something happening in nighttime. Someone broken our window. And then bumped in nighttime. So what is your advice?
Um, if it's someone just broke a window, your
And then
telephone and call 911. If someone's trying
yeah,
to break in and to gain access to your house, the gun that you've trained with, regardless of what it is, if you have not gone through much training, probably a revolver. Very simple double action revolver. If you've gone through more training, you might consider a long gun like a shotgun or an AR-15 type rifle. But whatever you um, get trained on it, because it doesn't do you any good if, when it comes time you have to use it to save your life, your family's life, that you're not sure how it operates. I personally use, and for my plan, if there's something at my house, is to use an AR-15 with a pistol as backup. And I also wear body armor, because if there is an incident, if someone's breaking into my house, he's armed, I want to be able to defend myself, not only by using a firearm, but if he has a gun, I want the body armor.
so how about that? People they bear arms. So a lot of lot of problems even bear arms, right? To use.
Mhm.
How about, do you think that you support universal background checkup, or what do you think that?
Well, we already have universal background checks. That's when people who are anti-gun say we need background checks. We already have background checks. Every firearm purchase, whether it's from a sporting goods store or at a gun show, every sale needs a background check. And if you look at what happened in California in 2020 with the riots that were going on, a lot of liberals who never thought they'd need a gun, suddenly when they thought, they could try to burn my house down, I better get a gun. And they found out, well, you've got to go through a waiting period. And the system is so backed up, it may be a week or two before we can do your background check. And they're like, what? It takes that long? Yeah, sometimes it does. And they said, well, can't I just go to a gun show? As they hear, oh, there's a gun show loophole where you don't need a background check. No, that's not true at all. And they came to realize when they needed a gun that, yes, even at a gun show, you need a background check. And
Oh,
for most, what a lot of people don't realize, most criminals don't buy guns from legitimate dealers. They steal them. They break into houses because I've talked to a lot of criminals, a lot of people who used to break into houses for a living. This was their job, it's what they did. From the time they force entry, they're in and out probably in less than 2 or 3 minutes with your jewelry, your gun if they have it, because people keep their jewelry in the same spot, they keep their gun in the same spot. So if you have a gun, lock it up. Make sure that an unauthorized person, whether that's a burglar or your toddler, can't find it and have access to it.
so what do you think we have a communication issue, right? Like example, we buy a fighter, they call 911. I think that we need to develop a little more like communication skill, each who are caller and fire office, because so many we have issue because of people they call, they are not coming soon because the person who does not communication well. I think do you have any, when they call to police or when they call to 911, do you have any advice to make sure to clear a message, give it to them their situation? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And I've been on the receiving end of calls like that where it's like, what's your location? Where are you? The first thing out of your mouth when you get to the dispatcher is, I am at, and then give your location. And then say, I need police, fire, or medical, or whichever combination of that you happen to need. Then go into very briefly, there's a man with a knife. There's, a guy throwing rocks at cars. There's a fire. There's a guy who's clutching his chest. There's a very famous, I wouldn't say famous, but a well known incident that happened, I believe it was in Detroit, where a young man was being chased by a bunch of other men who had baseball bats. And from what the caller described, it sounded like this was just an argument over something. And unfortunately, the dispatcher, she said, do you see a gun? No. But they had baseball bats, and they ended up beating this kid to death because it was handled as a low priority call. But also understand, even if it is an emergency, they may not have officers to send. And I had to place a 911 call due to a dog attack, and the police said, I live in a small town, and the police said, I've got two officers on duty, and they're both responding to a crazy guy with a knife. So we're not going to be able to help you. But yeah, definitely
Mhm.
people need to not go into too much detail. Give the pertinent information to get help rolling. Um, there was a woman, one case I'm thinking about, a woman, her ex boyfriend was trying to break into her house. And she went into detail with the police on, or with the dispatcher on, my boyfriend, I'd been dating him for 6 months or so, and things weren't going well.
She
And so we
already
broke
had
up,
a,
and I got a
I think,
restraining
yes,
order.
yes, yes.
And the call got put out as a cold harassment, not an active home invasion.
I see. Okay, and then I think you did a great explanation. One thing I'm as candidate of U.S. Senate, I was thinking about this issue, why we can creations more like education for people who call to, communication skill. We need training that as well as why we only communication by the phone, why we have like Facebook now is, as we like example, I using Katalog, why don't you, we can do some kind of text communication, either via location, police station to submit, right away emergency communication. Then it's easy because like sometimes they call like sometimes take too long already they killed, already they murdered. So I recommend it your side, maybe we have a Facebook or we have a TikTok, maybe we have a Instagram, Twitter to, able to people report what their situation. And then they can maybe the office in police monitoring those communication. They can even they can show their condition, right? Their what happened by the phone. I think that there is a good communication skill we need to develop. What do you think? Yeah,
Definitely. I
yeah.
think definitely. And
Mhm.
it'd be nice if someone developed an app for emergency communication that would, if you're having an emergency where you need first responders, it would activate the microphone and camera on your cell phone to record what's happening, and very quickly you can punch in, here's my location, here's what's, I'm being attacked, I have a medical emergency. And especially for people who are nonverbal, people who can't speak, something like that would be a lifesaver. And there may be something out there that already exists that I don't know about.
Actually, do you know I think if we call in a long police station, they transfer another police station because they said this is not our district to care. I think if we call right away directly, you know directly to they can connect to right place to automatically something they can save more uh more time to they can respond early. So I think that some communication we should develop because our today's police field, even many, I heard I go out to, many business owner, they complain that police does not appear. Even someone steal their product, they call, they are not, not appear, even only just, they are not go to the jail. Only fine
Yeah.
$1,000. What do you think that, they are not go to the jail? What do you think? Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with the number of calls for service. Um, some districts, you may have 5, 10 calls waiting for an officer to clear so they can go on to the next one. And you have to prioritize if it's a theft, or, versus something where life and limb are at stake. And so you might end up just being a lower priority call. And like I've seen what's been going on in California where they've decriminalized shoplifting. I think it's under $900, like 900 or $1,000.
Less
where
than
it's
$100,000, they don't go to jail, just to pay, they pay fine, you know. Yeah, I
yeah, you
think
get a ticket.
around $1,000. Yes, thousand.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's something that isn't going, the criminals know they have a free rein, because if you're a criminal and the cops give you a ticket, you're not going to show up in court because you're probably never going to get pulled over. You're probably never, and if you do, all they're going to do is issue you another ticket.
That
So
is the business owners, they complain to, they are not supporting police, because even, you know, they let us support police, but you know they are not benefit. How we can solve those problems? How, what is your recommendation to, you know, business place, they, even 10 people coming, you know, they stealing, you know, they are not appears early, and then you know they are habitually repeat again and again, even they are intended to steal to go jail. System is so good to, they stay there free, right? So some people, they are not care about their life. So what is your recommendation to how we can respond to the complaint for the business owners? You know, yeah.
well, they need funding for the police. They need enough officers on the streets to be able to respond to calls. And when the police do respond to something like a group of people shoplifting at a store, when they do make arrests, don't just make it a ticket. Be able to arrest and have actual criminal punishment, because
Then
otherwise, even
yes,
if they have to go through the booking process and get bailed out, they're still in jail for 8 to 12 hours, maybe a day or two before they get their court date and they're released. But that's going to have more of an impact than, okay, we caught you shoplifting, here's a ticket, you've got 90 days to pay a fine. They're just going to crumble that up and throw it away. We've seen that in Portland. Well, in Oregon, they decriminalized drug possession. If you get caught with what they consider a personal amount of fentanyl, heroin, meth, whatever, they just write you a ticket. They cannot, the police no longer have the ability to arrest you for it. It's not, drug possession is no longer an arrestable offense. And so Portland right now looks worse than cities I've been in that just, right after ISIS was kicked out. It looks worse than a war zone. Looks worse than parts of Afghanistan or Iraq.
okay. So you know I think the only, because you know we spend a lot of money for the jail system, drug addict, homeless, you know, many crime, many you know the monies we are spending, wasting our taxpayer. I think we should have some long-term solution to more like, not only you know fund to more police, because I think that we need some kind of education based route to cause, you know, even we have a lot of funds, even we have a nice jail system, it's not really solving those, you know, homeless problem, you know, it's crime problem, drug problem. I think we need some kind of more like rehabilitation, their life system, good, needed to, you know, needed to do. So thank you for your time today. And
Well, thank you.
you know, we have so many clear messages for your field of that. And then do you have any contact number you want to share to audience, or what? You have last message?
Um, if you're going to, last message would be, if you're going to carry a firearm, get trained and get self-defense insurance.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Thank you for today's show.
Well,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, your participation, all your experience and knowledge with us. Thank you so much, all the support.